Australians love our utes, but with the Commodore and Falcon gone, it means we have to choose from pickups built overseas. Now for most people, that means something like a Toyota Hilux, but it could also mean this, the all-American Chevrolet Silverado.
While the Silverado is a new kind of ute for Australia, it has a proven track record in the land of the free and the home of the enormous pickup truck. Chevy has a long history building cars like this for America, even if its dimensions feel a little bit like a Simpsons punchline. Can you name the truck with four-wheel drive that smells like a steak and seats 35? Could be the Silverado.
Can you name the truck with four-wheel drive? Smells like a steak and seats 35. Can you narrow? Can you narrow?
Born in the USA, the big unit has close ties to Melbourne, where the Silverado goes through a major transformation at the hands of HSV.
The Silverado story starts right here at HSV, where vehicles come off the boat and are transformed into cars that are suitable for Australian roads.
The HSV folks who used to transform Commodores into supercharged weapons now work on the Silverado, which will soon be joined by the Chevy Camaro as a rival to the Ford Mustang. These cars go through an exhaustive process in Clayton, where technicians separate the body from its frame, fit right-hand drive steering gear, a locally made dashboard, new taillights with amber indicators, and a speedo marks in kilometres per hour. There are hundreds of parts which need changing, and the attention to detail is extreme. There's even extra sound deadening to make the machine a little bit quieter on the highway.
My name's James Seif. I'm the product line manager for the Chevrolet Silverado program. The program's been running for about 6 months in production, plus probably another 6 to 5 months in the design phase. We make 6 vehicles per day, split over 2 shifts of 3. Once the vehicle arrives, we pull the cab off the chassis, then we strip the interior back down to bare metal so that we can then start the fabrication work on the cab. The 2 main components we switch is the steering box and the dashboard assembly. The engine remains untouched. The only things we change are all the routings and the hose connections.
We've had a good look at how this beast is built. Now let's see how it drives on the open road. When I first started driving the Silverado, I have to admit that I was quite intimidated by its size. This is one of the largest vehicles that you can drive on a conventional car license. If you want to go any bigger within the Silverado range, you have to have a truck license. It really is quite a large machine. It feels like a fish out of water in urban environments and in tight roads where you really need to think about how you place the car, particularly when parking. It really does take up quite an amount of room. The real highlight is under the bonnet, where you've got a massive turbo diesel engine that offers effortless punch, more than 1,200 Newton meters of grunt, which really gets you where you need to go with a minimum of fuss. Honestly, this thing is just untroubled, overtaking, hills, whatever, it just gets it done. You can either leave it in top gear, 6th gear, and just easily torque up the hills and past other cars without stressing the engine, or you can let it kick down, shift down a couple of gears, and really hustle along. But when you move from the city to the country, it really finds its stride. It's very comfortable on the open road, ticking along here at 110 k's an hour. It's remarkably quiet and effortless thanks to that massive engine. There's a good deal of refinement that goes into these cars, which I've been really impressed by, as well as some of the features that you find within the vehicle. This isn't a cheap car by any stretch, and it does miss out on some of the features that you might like to find at this price point, such as a heads-up display system or active cruise control, things to make life a little bit easier for the driver. But it does have modern features, such as a wireless inductive charging system for your phone and a touchscreen with Apple CarPlay. The Silverado also brings toys that you won't find in a family SUV, including a dedicated trailer braking system and an exhaust braking system just like you'd find on a semi-trailer. Very cool. The sheer size of the truck means that you have a lot of room in the cabin. There's plenty of adjustment in the seat, the steering wheel adjusts for height and reach, and there's even electronic pedal adjustment so that you can put the brake and throttle exactly where you want to find them. Naturally, there is a massive amount of storage space as well, which is really handy to have. Like Ned Kelly, the Ute has become an Australian icon. Just like our giant gunslinging mate here, the Silverado feels as though it doesn't belong in polite society. You could say it's something of an outlaw.
There's no getting away from the fact that this is a big unit. More than 6 metres long, the truck is almost 2 metres high and 2.4 metres wide. The engine is a 6.6 litre Duramax turbo diesel V8, which serves up 332 kilowatts of power and 1,234 Newton meters of torque, which almost matches a Bugatti Veyron. The 136 litre fuel tank costs well over $200 to fill. An economy of around 13.5 litres per 100 k's will give you around 1,000 kilometres of range as tested. We sampled the Chevy in 2500 HD Custom Sport trim, which costs around 140 grand plus on-road costs and weighs in at a massive 3,616 kilos before you factor in people and cargo. That is a lot of mass, about a Corolla more than a Toyota Prado. While the tray is more than 2 meters long, you can only put in around 870 kilos, because if you go over that, it exceeds the 4.5 ton limit of a car license. Those of you with a truck license can buy an extra heavy duty version capable of carrying more than 2.2 tons in the tray. Properly configured, you can tow up to 5,890 kilos behind the Silverado.
Those are massive numbers, but what do they mean? If you're on holidays at somewhere like the Ettamogah pub and wanted to take home some beer as a souvenir, you could load up a trailer with more than 500 cases in the back. That's 12,000 bottles to share with your mates.
There are very few cars that can do that, not even dual cab utes. HSV expects this car to be bought by people with special requirements in the boating, equine, farming and mining industries, and for the Silverado to remain a relatively niche choice.
Clearly there is a market for this sort of car, though the Silverado has very few natural predators. One of them is the Ram. Originally built by Fiat Chrysler in America, the Ram series is transferred to right-hand drive alongside the Chevy in the same Victorian factory. Like the Ram, the Silverado is finished to an impressively high standard. It feels like an OEM vehicle, like it was meant to be built in right-hand drive rather than converted after the fact. This is no backyard job, and I'm so impressed with the level of detail that goes into it. This particular car does not have one squeak or rattle throughout the cabin. It is so impressive, particularly when you know the extent that HSV goes to convert the car from left-hand drive to right-hand drive, stripping it right back to the bare body, getting rid of all sound deadening and even the wiring throughout the car to transfer it into the machine that it is here. It's an absolutely brilliant job. Now, there are a couple of little hiccups. There's a couple of bits of trim that don't fit maybe as well as they should, including the steering column, which has a bit of a split in the case here, though that might be from Detroit as well. It's not a place that's renowned for having the highest quality and attention to detail.
We clocked up more than 1,000 kilometres in the Big Chev and came away impressed with how it handles Australian life. It's a big unit for a big country. And while I personally don't need one, I just want one.